Namaste everybody and welcome along to today's class. Now today's class is going to be a little bit sort of different. This is more of a part of a series of classes that I will try to present to you guys, and it's to do with taking time out. So how to contextualize that in practical terms. So we are always going to reach a point in our lives where if we do something consistently that's stressful, or we have tasks that we have to complete on a daily basis, and we find ourselves getting overwhelmed, getting anxious, getting stressed, and we're finding that our minds are really starting to bother us, or you may find that it becomes hard to manage your time because of the state of your mind. So how the anxiety is stopping stopping your ability to think in a rational, functional manner. Okay, so this class is going to be based around taking time out in nature. Now, that may sound very impractical, it may sound very hard to do, but I'm not talking about, taking any more time out of your day than you're able to give. So, and it doesn't have to be every single day that you do this, but let this be a consideration that if you find that you are someone who takes half-hour breaks, or you find you take the way you schedule your day, you have about half an hour to an hour of spare time, or that's your break where you eat lunch or something, try to include a trip to nature. And nature doesn't have to be a dark and mysterious, an isolated area of the wilderness. Nature can just be something as simple as going to a park. Going to a park where you're out in the fresh air, there's a bit more nature around you than you would get if you're confined to your study space or confined to your workspace. So getting out in nature, I guess, means getting outside of the confinement of the very thing which is causing you anxiety. So contextualized to a study context, it's not practical to force your mind, to funnel your mind into concentrating on a certain thing for long periods of time. Eventually we're going to need a break. Now, may I humbly recommend that in one of these breaks that you would need to take away from your study or away from your workplace or your workspace, take time to make a trip to your closest park, your closest reservation. If you're even lucky enough to live in national parks, even better, and just spend time to not just be out in nature, but to be out in nature and practice these meditation techniques that we've been showing you over the past trimester, and what we'll continue to show you in the future. The meditation techniques that we show you do not need to be done specifically out in nature. These are techniques you can take with you wherever you go, okay? But to do it somewhere where you're not immediately distracted by your studies, or immediately distracted or in the vicinity of that which is causing you anxiety. Okay? So I'm here at a place called Oxley Creek Common. It's a very, very lovely area. It's not off the beaten track by any means. You have maybe half an hour walk to the end and then half an hour walk back. Very, very lovely place, and I recommend you come check it out. We'll put a link in the below part of this video. I don't know what it's called. Just so if you are near the area and you want to really give it a try, where you spend that time going out in nature, then hopefully this can be one of those spots, those special little spots. We're very fortunate. We only live 8 or 9 minute drive away. But again, like I said, your closest park may be closer than you think, and may only be a 10-minute walk. Walking in itself is a great way to get out in nature and clear your mind and take time to engage in meditative practices, okay? But since we're out here and it's not a bad temperature and there's fresh air all around us, it'd be a perfect time to do some meditative breathing, okay? So a busy mind generally means a lack of self-awareness. So when we lack self-awareness, we stop paying attention to the signs that our body that gives us when we are stressed. You know, when you stop and just start paying attention to your breath, you start to notice how shallow you breathe, really. Or how fast your breathing is, or how fast your heart rate may be. And all it takes is just a few moments to just stop. And you can do this standing up. You don't necessarily even need to sit down. But to be more comfortable you are, the more easier it will be to focus. You just gently close your eyes and just become aware of the sensations of your breathing. Take a step back from the activity of your mind and just view your thoughts as something that just pops up on a movie screen. A movie is always moving from scene to scene. So your thoughts are just like that. They're just a movie scene that you're observing. It doesn't actually touch you. You're just the silent witness observing your thoughts. And if the thoughts do get a little overwhelming, then you just recenter the focus of your mind to your breathing. Sometimes 5 minutes is all we need to reverse that cycle of anxious thought leads to shorter breath, which leads to lack of oxygen in the body, which leads to more neural sensitivity in our muscles and our joints, which leads to more stress. And the cycle continues. So being here out in nature where we know that we don't need to immediately worry about timelines or deadlines or lodging anything or typing anything or remembering anything. Take the time, take the opportunity to be somewhere more peaceful, somewhere more open, somewhere more refreshing outside of the confines of your study space. And just become aware of your breath, really aware. Put into perspective you, your thoughts, and your breath. And if the idea of going out in nature seems too much, then always remember these are techniques you can do wherever. You don't need to, wherever you can draw breath, you can engage in these techniques. However, it is much more conducive to remove yourself from that environment first. And why not go somewhere where it's much, much nicer, like the wonderful outdoors. Anyway, that's just a quick little tip from me. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care, everybody, and namaste.